How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another edition of the Startup Mac Vlog. I'm McKeever Edward Conwell II, aka Mac, Startup Mac. And I have my wonderful co-host with me.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate Alegado. You can just call me Kate.
Hi, Kate. So we've been gone for a little bit. Sorry about that. Had some things come up, but me and Kate are both entrepreneurs, so it's tough sometimes. But we're back. We're back with a vengeance. And today the topic is going to be part 2, continuation of our last topic. Was so you got into an accelerator. So last week we talked about now that you got in, what do you do? What's the first month like? This week we're going to talk about what's the second month like. What are you going to do during your second month?
So on the second month, how are you feeling? Let's just start off with that one, and then we can branch off of like specifics on what happened after whatever you were feeling.
Kate likes to go straight for the feelings.
I do. I'm a woman, unfortunately.
So the second month is one of the tougher months of the program. This is if you're going through a typical 3-month accelerator. The second month is when you start to kind of settle into the program. You know how the program's running. You know what to expect, what your schedule is, the schedule you keep for you and your team when you're working, and the schedule you have to keep for the program, like when you meet with your mentor, when you have speaker series or whatever's going to happen. So you start to kind of get into a groove, but the second month is around the time you start to feel, especially if you're going to another city, you start to feel a little homesick. This is around the time you're under a lot of stress because now you've been constantly working, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of, 16, 17, 18-hour days. You don't have your usual de-stressors around you. You don't have your usual friends or family members to go to. So this is kind of when the hard stuff starts to set in. You start to feel that pressure. Just communicating with friends and family via phone starts to get a little old. So that's the rough part of the second month. But it's also the month when you start to, like I said, get in the swing of things. So your product's turning. You're taking a lot of advice. You're starting to better use that advice. You're starting to learn how to ask better questions and better use the advisors and people around you. You start to learn the community. So if you're in another state, another city, you start to learn more about the tech community, who's around, who can help, and all those good things. So it's kind of a balance. It's a balance of things going on.
So despite the balance you brought up in terms of like stress and just a lot of these negative and also extremely overwhelming feelings throughout the whole process of it. So when you were going through that, what did you do to find, like you said, that there's always that sense of escape when we're at home. I'm like, I'll just go for a run or I'll just go out and hang out with some friends, but I don't feel as if you can really do that on a daily basis under the Accelerator program. What did you do, and how did you like allocate that time?
Well, everybody handles it differently. Some people try to find the system normalcy. So, the people who do go running every day, they still try to do that. They just do it earlier in the day. You might wake up a little extra early and do your yoga and do your running. You might stay up a little later and do that. You might get a gym membership, but you go to the gym at 1 o'clock at night. So everybody handles it differently. Me, myself, I have a guilty pleasure. And my guilty pleasure is comic books. So, I would carve out some time during my day where I'm going to spend 10, 15 minutes and I'm going to just enjoy a comic book and not be bothered, And you try to find, little short times here or there. If your thing is movies, you might try to find the time where, you might pick a day, like Saturday was my day where I took care of laundry, I kind of slept in a bit, I relaxed a bit, so I gave myself a few hours of, de-stress time before I went back to work. So you might want to pick a day. If you're a movie person, it might be Saturday. Like, on Saturdays, I'm going to go to the movie. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to watch a movie, stream one on my computer, lay in the bed, not be bothered, Find some normalcy, something that, you like to do, keep up with it. If you have a favorite TV show that you watch every week, watch it. You might not be able to watch it when it comes on, but find some time during the week to watch it. I'm a huge football fan. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I'm a Baltimore guy. So on Sundays when football came on, I was watching the Ravens game. It was streaming on my laptop. Now I might have another program open, writing up some strategy or going over notes for the week or preparing for a meeting with my team to go over how the last week went. But it was on. It was there. If I wanted to take, 10, 15 minutes and just stare at the screen and watch it, I took that. When you go to an accelerator, they ask you to work as closely as to 24/7 as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know that's not possible. You need some of that time to yourself.
So I'm thinking that if you're going to allocate time to not really your guilty pleasure, but just really giving yourself some downtime and to kind of relax a bit from all that high up-tempo 24/7 kind of work, do you ever come into conflict with the people that you're working with, like your team members, saying like you're putting too much in your guilty pleasure or your relaxation while they're like, how do you, I guess that was just a random question in my head, like someone might be working that full 24/7 and feel as if you're not putting in the same effort as them?
I don't know, because I've been through 2 accelerators now, and in both instances, for myself, my team, and all the other teams, everybody had moments where they kind of, you had a little bit of time to yourself. But for the most part, throughout the day, everybody was working hard. So if you took 15, 20 minutes to take a break, or if you left on a Saturday and went to the mall and hung out for a little bit, or if instead of working in the office, you wanted to go to a coffee shop, and while you're at the coffee shop, you wanted to have some downtime, maybe read a book for a little bit. Nobody had any issues with that, because we were all feeling the same kind of stress. We were all feeling the same kind of pressure, and we all had other responsibilities to friends and families and loved ones. So everybody kind of understood that, we can't work 24/7, but you work as closely. And if there were moments when me and my team were working hard and we were a collective and we were all sitting around the table together, plotting on something, whiteboarding something, at those points in times, no, you were all in. Everybody was all in. But if you were whiteboarding and it's been, 8 hours, and within that 8 hours you got some code done, you got some documentation done, you've done some testing, you're still doing more whiteboarding. If you stop for a moment, like, hey, I'm gonna be back, guys. I'm gonna go down the street to the restaurant and I'm gonna buy myself dinner, and just sit at the bar and have dinner at the bar by yourself, have a drink, eat dinner, and come back. People were generally okay with those kind of things. Like, everybody's going through it, so everybody's pretty understanding. And it also depends on the makeup of your team. My team, my 2 teammates were 2 of my best friends, so we understood. My one co-founder, when we went to San Francisco to New Me Accelerator, he got married a month before we left. So when he was out there, it might be 1 o'clock in the morning. He's been working all day, coding all day, and his wife calls him. Now, if he wants to take his laptop and go into another room where he can talk to his wife while he's doing some work, we didn't have an issue with that. Now, when he got out of, the other room and he was done talking to his wife, we might ask him, so what you get done? But for the most part, like, everybody kind of understood.
I remember that you said that your first accelerator was in Baltimore, but your second accelerator was in San Francisco.
Right.
So did you visit San Francisco before you even went to the accelerator?
No. My first day ever in San Francisco was the first day of the program.
And how was that?
That was interesting. I showed up and I went to the house. So for that program, they already had a housing for us set up. I went to the house, kind of moved my stuff in, kind of met with everybody, and then they showed us where the office was. We went to the office and had our first little bit of orientation. And learning about San Francisco and the city kind of came later, but I still didn't take full advantage of it because I was so busy working. Like, I was there on a mission. I wasn't there to see San Francisco. I was there to work.
But it came to you during like the second month, though, right?
Around the second month, you started to get into the groove of things. Like, you started to fill out your schedule, so you could see where you could have downtime or where you could do things. And I also started having more meetings outside of the office. So, I might meet with an investor or an advisor at a restaurant downtown that I've never been to, and a part of San Francisco I've never been to. Or I might meet with another entrepreneur who's local to that area, and they wanted to hang out and go grab a drink. Well, that would be my opportunity to kind of see a little bit around the city and get to see what else was going on. Like I said, Saturdays was my day, so there might be 1 or 2 nights where on a Saturday night I decided to go to a bar and maybe just hang out for a little bit. Me and a couple of the other people from the cohort decided to go out together. And that's another thing. By the second month, you've now been working with these people for several weeks, and you start to develop relationships or friendships among the other teams. People who you hang out with, people you connect with, people you start to spend time with, because they're the people you're spending most of your time with. It's your co-founders and the other members in the cohort. And so it kind of becomes almost like a family unit. It's almost like being in college. Like you're in college, but you're confined to this one small class. So it's like 20 or 30 of you, and that's the whole college. And so you spend all your time together. Everybody's taking different classes and working on different things, but you see each other all day, every day. Um, and those relationships help. Having other people around you who understand your struggle, who understand the process that you're going through, the hard questions that you're trying to answer, having them to bounce things off of, it's extremely helpful.
So I'm trying to find a way in terms of understanding the second month. So the second month is just continuously working and putting in those hours, and then also finding that balance, and then just naturally developing that sense of family with everyone that's in the accelerator. Is there anything else that we should be aware of in terms of the second month?
So the second month is definitely continuous working, and the second month is very pivotal for how you're going to end the program. So the second month, once you get to the midway point of the program, you need to have a really clear idea of where you plan to be at the end of the program. Because the purpose is, at the end of the program, you're going to have your demo day where you pitch to investors. So you want to make sure you set yourself up in the best position possible to make that pitch. So you want to have your product and your idea and your business model completely solid. And during this process, you've had 6 or 7 weeks to meet with a lot of smart people and get a lot of advice and get to understand your market a whole lot better than you did before you got there. And if you start to feel a little issue with your business model or with your product, and you start to have that feeling in the back of your head like, maybe I should pivot, maybe we should change our direction, that's the time to do it. If you start to feel that, do it sooner rather than later, because that's about the last time where you'll have a chance to do that. And if you make a pivot the 6-week mark, you still now have 6 weeks of dedicated time to make that pivot happen, and maybe try to get it out into the market and see if you can get a little bit of traction, some numbers behind it, just so you have something to show come demo day. What you don't want to do is when you have 3 weeks left of the program, and you're like, all right, we're going to make this change, but you get the demo day and you're not ready. You don't have anything to show. So around that midway point is where you kind of want to be like, okay, this is where our product is, this is where we are, this is how solid we are, this is our identity, and this is what we're going to do moving forward. You really want to have a clear-cut, idea of what you're doing, because when you first come in month 1, you want to have a plan on what you want to do, and over a period of time how you want to do it. Once you get there, you've now gone through 6 weeks plus of learning and going through your plan, and that plan started to change. It's fluctuated. Different priorities have popped up. And now at that 6-week mark, midway mark, you should have a better understanding of you should have a very clear understanding of what your last 6 weeks are going to be like. That plan for the last 5 or 6 weeks should be very, very clear at that point. You should be able to pinpoint a lot of stuff on that. And you need to be solid on that. If you're not, and you're still kind of going with the flow or still trying to figure out what you're going to do with your product, you have a lot of work ahead of you and not a whole lot of time. Because once you get to the end of the second month, you start to feel that time crunch. You start to realize, oh my goodness, I only have 4 weeks before demo day. And when you think about that, the last week to week and a half is all you getting ready for your pitch. You're not doing as much work as a CEO or whoever's pitching. You're not doing as much work and much planning or strategizing as you were. So really, once you get to that point, you only have maybe 2 or 3 weeks left of actually working on your product and getting everything together before you start switching gears and focusing all your energy into being ready to pitch your product.
So you told us what to do, but what's your personal experience? Because I know that you had a personal experience in terms of this pivoting.
My personal experience was around the midway point when I was in San Francisco. We came up with the idea and we found out it was really unique. and I kind of had the idea of pivoting in the back of my head, but I didn't pursue it. I didn't pursue it until after we had gone through the program, and that was one of my biggest regrets because I never got to show all those investors who were there on demo day what our pivot was and what the power of it was, and that became a sense of concern for me. That was something I wish I could take back. So this is my advice to you. If you feel that and you want to pivot, do it sooner. There was actually another company in our program who went through the same issue. And what happened for them was they wanted to pivot. They kind of saw it. They didn't do it. They waited till after the program, and they'll tell you they wish they had pivoted sooner, and that might have been the reason why their company didn't make it. Same for us. The fact that we didn't pivot and pitch that on demo day might have been the reason why our company didn't make it.
So that was your second month.
That was my second month.
Awesome.
So I guess that wraps up what the second month of an accelerator is like. Next week, Kate and I will be back here to do another one, and we're going to talk about the third and final month and the dreaded demo day.
The demo day. That's awesome.
So it was been good, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.